Selectmen's meeting for October 3rd, 2022. Would everyone please stand for the pledge of allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, agenda review. Herb?
All set.
Jim?
All set, thank you.
Keith?
I'm all set as well.
Barry?
All set, thank you.
I'm good. Hunter, anything?
No, thank you.
Okay, minutes from previous meeting. We have the minutes from the September 19th. There was a motion on those minutes.
I had a couple of,
Let's make a motion in
Okay.
second first, and then we'll...
move to accept.
Second.
All right. What changes do you have?
Page 4.
Yep.
So 1, 2, 3, third paragraph, says the last concern Mr. Stevens brought before the board.
Yep.
It says Pike Hill, I believe that was Coonbrook Road. Wasn't that bridge on Coonbrook Road?
Yep. Good catch.
And also on page 7, the dates for the chamber events. I believe the first two are correct, but I think the others should be 2023.
Point of order?
From the fourth one down.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah.
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
Yes.
I noticed that when I was recording, writing up the minutes, and I contacted Donna. She was going to take care of it.
Okay.
So,
Good.
so
Okay.
you know, yeah.
Otherwise, we approved the events that took place last year.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you'll take care of getting that correct?
No, well, if you would like it corrected in that motion, but I'm just making you aware that I noticed it when I was typing it up.
Mhm.
And I contacted Donna and told her that she had the wrong year number in for the motion. And she told me that she was going to handle it, so I don't know if that means letting Joanne know and having it come before you again, or just having Mr. Teller revise the motion.
What is the preference of the board? To just correct this with the assumption that we were talking about the coming year, or do we want to make another motion with the correct years in there?
When you contacted her, she agreed that the dates should have been 2023, correct?
I think the intent was there to have it 23, correct.
All right, so go with the, maintain the approval for the events
Yes.
with the dates correct, show 2023 for the events after the dancing with the Newport starts.
Thank you.
Okay,
Those were the only things I had.
is there anything else? All good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Barry?
But, Laura, I've lost it again, but there
Page
was,
7.
yeah, at the bottom.
And there being no further business in public meeting, the board went into non-public session.
And the motion passed 5-0-0. It was actually 3.
No, that one was correct. That's the
This is
first.
the first
Oh, that's
the
what I'm
first
trying to
one,
figure.
yeah.
Second, where is the
It's the
second?
lone, next page, the one that's all by itself. Says that we'd entered non-public session, just a single page.
Okay, yeah, it should be 3-2.
Wait a minute.
This one?
Yeah, the single, yeah.
See,
That's page 101.
we entered non-public session initially under litigation, then came out at some
Came out,
point, and
yes.
then went
Back
back in
in.
under personnel.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that vote was 3-2.
3-2.
Right. With the, who was,
Myself and Barry were the no's.
Jim and I.
Jim and
Vote
Barry
no.
were the
No.
negative votes
Yep.
on that. And I think we came out of that session at 10:06 for the night.
Yep, that was 5-0, thank God.
So I didn't record the time we came out and voted the other one and went back in.
It was almost 4-0.
Hmm?
I said it was almost 4-0.
Yeah.
to modify, how do we need to modify?
Oh, I don't know, we don't need to make it, well, yeah, you gotta have exact record.
Let's say at some point on the bottom of page 7, identify that we came out of non-public session,
Yes.
5-0 vote, and voted to go back into non-public session under personnel on a vote of 3-2,
Mhm.
with Barry and Jim in opposition to it. Then we came out of non-public for the last time at 10:06.
Yeah, that was 5-0.
And then had a motion to adjourn
Mhm.
after that.
Yep,
Does that cover it?
that does.
Yes.
Close as we can come?
Yep.
Do that.
All right?
Oh, excuse me.
Yes.
So on the non-public, did Selectman Burrows make the second to go in and then vote against it?
No.
No.
Okay. Now, I'm on the non-public,
Right. But that part,
and I know you hadn't voted on the main minutes.
yeah. Yeah, but this part
Oh,
should be the
okay.
same. I think to go in on the second part, I think that was my motion to go in under the personnel. And I'm not sure who seconded that.
I believe I did.
All right. So to go in under non-public on personnel would have been my motion and Herb seconding it.
So instead of litigation on the non-public?
No, well, the non-public will cover both of them,
Okay.
okay? So you got that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Just need a vote.
All right, everyone understand the changes? All right, all those in favor of the public minutes as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? All right, so the non-public minutes, which, again, do I have a motion on those?
Move to accept the non-public
With your business.
as amended.
As amended, and a second by Barry, and the amendment to show that we came out of non-public for litigation at some point during the night. And on a motion by myself and a second from Herb, we went into non-public under personnel, and then came out of that, and that was on a vote of 3-2, with Barry and Jim opposed. And we came out of that on a vote 5-0 at 10:06. And then after that, we had a motion to adjourn the public session by Barry and seconded by Herb. Is that what we got?
Sounds
Yep.
good.
All those in favor of the minutes as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Okay. Moving on. Back of your agenda is tonight's consent agenda. Do I have a motion on that?
Move to accept.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Okay. All right. This is open forum. This is the opportunity for any member of the public that wishes to address the board on items that are not on the agenda, may do so at this time. Yes, you in the back? No, not behind you. She had her hand up first, so.
I'm Margaret Dry from Plainfield. I'm a candidate for state representative in the float district that includes Newport and Unity, Charlestown, Plainfield, and Cornish. I've made it a practice in the towns that I run in just to come and introduce myself to the select board, just so you know who I am when I'm around town. And although I ran in 2020, I know that select boards change members often, and so I came to reintroduce myself. Happy to tell you a little bit about myself, or happy just as much to say, hope to see you around town.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for her? All good? All right, thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. And, yes, sir, state your name for the record.
Dick Wenzel. Could I approach him so he can
Sure.
follow this? Very simple.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Do you have one for Laura in the back?
Thank you. I'll share mine with, I'll give it tomorrow.
Okay. Anything you want to say on this?
Yes, I'll just explain it very lightly. This was sent out, and on your second page, you see there's a little yellow sticker right there.
Yes.
The RSA is 37.4, so I want to make sure there's no confusion. If you do not take the oath of office, okay, and you take the oath of office, you have to put a bond up. So if you don't take the oath of office, it doesn't count. So basically, if you looked at it, there's two constitutions, state and federal. So under the Constitution, it says if he doesn't or she does not do it, she's not legal for the office. So this was taken December 20th of 2016. As you can see, there's no bond, but he did take the oath of office. But I don't believe he's taken the oath of office since. So if he hasn't taken it, then what will happen, what he's done is no good, because he's not a town manager, because he didn't take the oath of office. That's why I gave you the RSA, you can look up it quick. So two things that has to happen. And if you notice where it says to all, you have abuse of power, which is very, very seriously. And then it goes on that if you don't do the oath of office, like you gentlemen take every time you get elected, you have to uphold the Constitution, state and federal both. So towns, counties, and cities, they make rules, laws, and regulations, but they don't go along with the federal Constitution. So if you read this, it's self-explanatory. So I would like to know what you're gonna do about it. Because if they don't take the oath of office, they don't hold the office. And it's very clear. That's why I left a sticker and I did it that way. So something has to happen. And it's up to you five selectmen.
Okay, we'll have to take a look at it, we'll have to get back to you. Go ahead.
Good question. I just read 37.4, oath of office and bond. Once there's on a vacancy, an appointment, it doesn't close after 1 year. That vacancy exists, it's filled, so the RSA doesn't give a time limit.
There's two,
And it's a very short RSA, I can
right,
pass it around.
and there's another one which is worse than what this one
So
is.
37.4 though doesn't give a time limit. So there was a vacancy, it was filled, Mr. Reesberg was sworn in. So by my read of 37.4, we're correct.
You have to take the oath of office when we're changing.
It isn't changed though.
Yes, it has changed.
He's been the town
Did-
manager since he was appointed in 2016.
No, listen. When he gets reappointed again, when he takes another contract and another contract,
Yeah.
and he does not do it, then he doesn't have the job. And there's another article with the RSA, it's harder than this one. So when you run for selectman, you take your oath of office, and then you win again, you have to take the oath of office again. So when
That's because there was a vacancy.
Pardon?
There was a vacancy. even though I have to rerun for my seat, if I rerun for my seat and I win again, there was a vacancy and I won my seat back. So yes, I would agree with that. I would have to get sworn in. There was only one vacancy. He was appointed in 2016. There's been no vacancies and no lapses in that sense.
Except his contract changed. It never stayed the same. Because he's supposed to put a bond up too. So if you continue to read it, and there's another one that's harder than this one.
Which one is that one? You know what RSA that is?
No, I didn't put it in. I figured this was, you gentlemen will have to answer that. His contract changed, his time changed. So if his contract changed, it's not the same. But he doesn't have a bond to begin with. But every time, you people, zone and plan and everything, when you do it again, you have to take the oath of office. His contract never stayed the same. So when it changed, he's supposed to do. So once you check with your attorney, and you're gonna find out it gets worse as time goes on. Did you see in there they have to be bonded?
Yeah.
Okay, did you see in there when his contract changed, when every time.
Doesn't say
he
anything
got
about
there?
contracts. It says appointment, which is a one-time deal.
Read the
Contracts
next-
will change, but it's still one appointment. And it's like I said, it's one paragraph. So I'll read it just for the record, everybody can hear it. Before entering upon the duties of his office, the town manager shall be sworn to the faithful and impartial performance thereof, and a certificate to that effect shall be filed with the town clerk, and shall execute a bond in favor of the town for faithful and performance of his duties in such sum, with such surety and sureties that may be approved by the selectmen. The end.
He still has to take the oath of office. So you can do as you want, okay? Because it's very, very clear. If your contract changed, which his contract changed, his contract has changed, so he has to take the oath of office.
But it says appointment, and that's what there's two things I'm hung up on. One, he was appointed, he filled this out,
Sworn in.
sworn in. It does say term expired, June 30th. I can't see the final date there.
That's
I think that says 11,
Seal?
No, right here.
right there on the right-hand side above the seal.
Term expires June 30th. Well, he was sworn in on the 16th, so it can't be the 11th. But anyway, in my looking this up, and, haven't talked to a lawyer, but an increase in pay does not create a vacancy. An increase in pay creates an increase in pay.
Yes.
So his appointment continues unless, I don't know why the term expires, right, is down there.
First time I've seen it since 5 years.
Okay, so in five years ago, he did sign this. And so, I mean, I've done some looking this up, and it seems to me that there's a difference between he was appointed, he did what he needed to do, he took the oath of office, you have a bond, right?
Well, traditionally, I think some of this language refers to a time in history when a bond was a practical thing to do.
Okay.
But I think you'll find in more modern times is that my bond, as your bond, is provided through the town's
Yeah.
insurance carrier, through Primex.
Okay.
And you have a bond against
All right.
malfeasance and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So that has taken the place of the individual
But
bond.
giving him an increase in pay does not denote an end of his contract. That's my read on that.
There's no vacancy.
Right, right. I mean, he's getting the increase, but we didn't sign him back up again.
Renewed.
Yeah, we gave him a contract based on amount of money for this period of time. Am I right, Jeff?
Right. And I believe this RSA dates from the 1920s. I don't remember what it said, about 27 or something.
If it hasn't been amended, it's still an RSA.
Right, and also where it talks about a bond,
Okay.
basically set by the Board of Selectmen.
1929.
Basically set a bond
Yeah.
at 0,
Yeah, okay.
which is setting a bond. but it's something we can run past town attorney, see if we're good or not.
Well, I will send you the other RSA, which is more serious than this.
All right.
Because it does say expires right there. But his contract itself has changed. Not just with the money, but the general contractor has changed with the money. So I will send you, whoever wants it, I'll send you the other RSA.
Send it to all of us.
That's harder than this one.
Send it to
Sent to
all
all
of
of
us.
us.
All of them?
Yeah. All right, anything else?
Well, just if you five selectmen understand, if you abuse your power, okay? If you abuse your power, you can be dismissed with other consequences. So, when somebody asks a question, which by law you have to answer, and you never answer, constantly, over and over and over and over. So it's all done trying to be nice and say, well, look, you haven't answered this, and this is the law. And when you get a piece of paper, if you read it, that's fine. But there's 2 court cases that I sent that another 2 different towns tried the same thing on the water, and they lost. Did I get a response from the selectman and town manager? No, because it's wrong. And then when I had the map, I clearly showed where the water went. Because it comes down Uni Road, over, and down Springfield. You people didn't do it, so you're home free. But it was done by somebody else. And they didn't have an easement, they didn't have nothing. So they cut the stupid thing off. But if you had looked, 2 court cases, and they lost them both. And it was doing the same thing that happened to me. So you don't say nothing. Everybody just says, I don't even know if you read what the law says. So I will send you this one, probably mid-afternoon tomorrow. So you'll have it right there, make it easy for you. And then somebody can explain where it says expires. And, because that's self-explanatory. But other than that, publicly, I don't know why you people don't answer questions when it's illegal not to do it. But you're, I would say, because every 3 months I get copies of legal bills from lawyers. That would scare a normal man. That would scare a normal man, that you people, not all of you, just want to go to court. And it's that thick. And I know you black out certain things, but your legal bill's not just a few dollars. The public, if they ever knew how much money you spend in legal bills, they'd probably have a stroke.
The legal fees we pay are part of our budget, so it's there for everyone to look at. There's nothing hidden in the legal fees.
Nothing.
They are higher than we would like. We do
Well,
have
thank you.
legal battles going on.
And now I do respect you for being honest, because they are considerably higher.
Anything else?
I will let that contract, I'll send that to you,
Okay,
and then I'm going to send another one.
all right.
And I hope the 6 of you, or the 5 of you, can understand. I'm going to have my questions answered. Trust me, I'm going to have them.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Does, Lee, do you have an answer to his?
Yes, so the expiration,
And
I'm
can you
assuming,
just state your name for the record and people who may not know you?
sorry, Lee Newport, Town Clerk, Newport. I came in at the end of this conversation, so I'm assuming that the appointment oath that you're speaking of has to do with Hunter's tax collector and town manager. The expiration that's down there is my expiration as the justice of the peace. There is no expiration for his term until he's
Thank you.
let go.
Okay.
Or
Thank you.
until he terminates his employment.
All right, anyone else for open forum? Yes, state your name for the record.
Josh Stevens. Didn't know if the board had any further information as to the bottom of the Coonbrook Bridge. Only requested at last meeting, an understanding of the bridge ratings.
I know Hunter has been looking into it. I don't know if you've got, Hunter, do you have any answer to that yet?
Well, so, since I wasn't aware of this would be a topic tonight, I don't have all the information, but anecdotally, I can say that I've spoken with 2 of the employees that were involved in that change, and that they report to me that the bridge weight rating was changed after consultation with bridge engineers, who determined that the bridge was in sad enough condition that,
Sorry, I can't hear you well.
Lee, could you take it out in the hallway? Thank you.
that it was their recommendation that that for the life and safety of the bridge, that the bridge weight be reduced. And I'm waiting for all that documentation to come in. I've got most of it on my desk right now.
That was DOT that did that, or?
No, the 2 engineers, one was from Daniels and the other one was, I believe it was from Hoyle Tanner. The 2 bridge engineering firms that we work with on our current bridges, one on the bridge that's currently underway, and Daniels, who's actually the subcontractor or the contractor on that same bridge.
So there was no, Alyssa Stevens, there was no consultation done with the NHDOT on that bridge then?
I can't say that categorically at the moment. I'm still waiting for that information to arrive.
I guess I would ask why as a town would not go directly to the NHDOT initially, but we would go to Daniels and, another engineering firm?
Yeah, my understanding about that was that a request was made to the state, and that their response was not any time in this lifetime, or something to that effect. They're so far behind in engineering inspections that they couldn't give a date as to when they might arrive.
So I can fill everyone in if you'd like. After our meeting 2 weeks ago, because the board and Mr. Reesford were unclear why there were conflicting signs on the Coonbrook Road Bridge that we all were discussing, I made a call down to the NHDOT to the bridge section and had a conversation with a bridge engineer who gave quite a bit of information. And we'd like to share that report with you and also his recommendations.
Shadow, and I'm not sure what her.
He's got.
Oh,
No.
Thanks.
So from my understanding, there's an inspection done every 2 years by the NHDOT. We have a report from 2020 that you'll see in here. You'll also see numerous pictures at the very end that range from 2011 up through 2022. The most recent inspection done on this bridge that we're all discussing was from July of 2022, so just a couple of months ago.
And that's in here?
That is all, I'm not done finished speaking on that. So
I'm sorry.
there's preliminary results that are done. There is a backlog, like Mr. Reesberg said. The report will not be done until November or December of this year, which will be readily available to anyone that wishes to view it. So that all being said, if you take a look at the email and the previous reports and the preliminary results, the bridge is in working condition, and that sign probably should not be posted.
Currently rated as a 5 out of 5 without any deficiencies.
And there is an E2 sign there. We've printed off the RSAs that were given to us explaining. I know Mr. Sayer said he was unaware of what an E2 means. So RSAs were given to us to have a very detailed explanation as to what that means in regards to any vehicles or large vehicles traveling over that bridge.
I actually looked that up.
Yeah.
There's E1, E2, C1, 2,
Yeah,
and
there's
3.
a lot.
Yeah, there's,
And what I found, I just Google searched
Yeah.
it. It's kind of vague to me.
Mhm.
It doesn't say your max capacity is this.
right.
So,
It really has a lot to do with wheel spacing and loading, and there's actually a lot to the calculation
yeah,
of
I know,
that.
I used to
So,
load tractor
yeah.
trailers, and there's a bunch of BS that doesn't
Yep.
matter. Yeah, if the bridge, I think E2 is about your best rate,
It is, yep.
and at least from what I gathered,
Mhm.
if the bridge isn't rated, why is it still got an E2 sign?
Correct. That was my question.
Yeah,
And why would we decide to change that rating based on, the state steps in, you've had it on Sand Hill where they said, look, you gotta shut the bridge down, you've gotta deal with this. So you're aware of the state's process. And so I assume that you would immediately go to them to understand the current rating and the conditions, and if there had been absolutely documented deficiencies, then by all means, that would need to, you would definitely need to, post that in a certain fashion. But nothing in this report or the email depicts any deficiencies in your bridge, other than you've decided to, I was told today that you've decided to prolong the life of this bridge by posting at 6 ton. So,
You'd like to preserve the life of it. So are you guys posting all the bridges in Newport that way then, is my next question, to preserve them?
Not that I'm aware of.
Do you know how many bridges you have in Newport?
Good question.
You have 22,
15 of your own, but
and
22.
7 state-owned. And so out of those 15, how many are posted with the 6-ton sign? To preserve bridges? We're bringing this to your attention because there's clearly an issue that needs to be dealt with.
agreed.
How many other bridges do we have a private engineer inspect besides this one? Or do they inspect them all for us?
0. Can I comment on?
Sure.
So, as it's been explained to me thus far, and again, if I had known this was going to be a topic on the agenda, I would have had a more succinct, complete response for you. As it was explained to me, the staff became aware of a bridge condition that concerned them. They called the state told us it was going to be quite a while before they could get there. So the staff, I think in good faith, reached out to the next best people that were available to them and asked them to look at it. We are not duty-bound to allow a dangerous bridge to remain dangerous while we wait for somebody from the state to get around to come and look at it. So in the interim, I think that they attempted in their good faith, based on the input from these two, one construction, Daniels does bridges all the time, and from what I understand, an engineer who does bridges all the time as well. And that was their recommendation. So I've asked for further input from that in writing and so on and so forth, and we're getting that. And I'm more than happy to transmit that to K.A. Stevens or to whoever else they might care to have that information sent to as soon as we have it. And if for some reason the state shows up in the next week or two and says, no, we're good, and gives that to me in writing, we'll post it as anything the state deems to be appropriate. Simple as that.
So when did the engineer from Daniels and the other engineer firm go out and do their assessment of this bridge?
As I said, I wasn't prepared to have this.
This was a year ago that this sign was posted, so I would assume if these two employees found that this bridge was not fit and unsafe for any vehicles to be traveling over, that they would have called them immediately to have this assessed, and you would have a report within a couple of weeks. It's been a year now, over a year, because we received an email from Craig Sartwell in August last year. So why do we not have this report a year later? When I have information from the state, from a quick phone call.
Same response.
I understand, but we're asking legit questions here. So for an entire year, we have had to travel a round trip of an hour out of our way rather than 8.1 miles in 13 minutes to where we need to go to use that bridge. That costs a lot of money, a lot of extra money. And I want to know why. Somebody's got to have an answer here.
If we don't have it tonight, we'll have to get it to you.
And you said that 2 weeks ago, you said we would revisit it tonight, and we're here tonight to talk about it, and we have valid information, and still nobody is able to answer a question.
As part of your business, do you build bridges?
Yes.
Have you inspected the bridge?
Yes.
And what's your take on
I didn't find any deficiencies
Okay.
that were substantially impacting it. Is it an older bridge?
it? Are you an
Yes.
engineer, or you are?
I am not an engineer.
Did you have any engineers look at it? or
I'm
No.
happy to do so. To get,
But you
again, that
build
would
bridges,
be,
I know you do.
again, that would be bias if I gave that to you, right? He would be trying to, value what's there and allow us to go
Well,
over it,
there-
so.
I'm looking at it in this way. We do want to be safe.
Mhm.
But in the process, I don't want to harm an important business in this town.
Mhm.
So I'm
And we've been
interested,
harmed.
I'm interested in finding out the whole story, the whole
Sure.
truth,
Yep.
and nothing but the truth.
Yep.
I've got a gentleman in the back, you had your hand up, you want to comment?
Yes,
State your
thank
name,
you,
please.
Doug Green. I would like to know when the select board knew about this bridge the first time.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
So you're trying to tell me, as a select board, you don't know there's a deficiency and a bridge in your town is being downgraded a year ago, right before it's time to haul sand for winter sand. You didn't know that a year ago. There was something definitely wrong. And I don't know, maybe we need to get the Attorney General's office to call, have them come down and look at things, because things seem a little fishy. Thank you.
Mr. Spalding.
Chris
Just state
Spalding,
your name
Senior.
for the record. Okay, thanks.
Rich Spalding Senior, I make a right-to-know request right now for all engineering documents that you have gotten from any licensed engineer that pertain to the Coonbrook Bridge. Now I want to take you through the paperwork that you've got in front of you. Please look at it and read it. I want to start with, I'm going to assume that you have the first as a letter saying, "Good afternoon, Alyssa." Alyssa? Do you have it? Okay. In the first paragraph under "Good afternoon," you'll see at the right-hand side, talking on Coonbrook Road in Newport, New Hampshire. Its bridge number is 144/30. For the state. Are we okay on that? Yep. Next paragraph. Starting at the right-hand side again, at this time, 5 for all major elements. 5 is the highest. It's the highest. Further down, steel beams have robust capacities, and the corrugated bridge plank deck has lower capacities. The deck is responsible for the E2 posting, which serves to restrict the bridge use to ordinary legal loads as set forth in New Hampshire RSA 266:18 small a. So now with that information that you have from this letter, the bridge is high enough for a 5 rating. So now, going from that to the next bridge inspection report is the one I would like you to have, dated July 21st, 2020.
That's page 2.
First page.
Yep.
A little over halfway down, condition. Red list status, not on the red list. Deck fair, superstructure fair, substructure fair. Okay? And again, if you look in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see that that document is for Newport Bridge 144/30, which is the same as we had on the introductory sheet. Now, you have some pictures.
Are these the New Hampshire DOT pictures?
Yes.
Yes. If we're all there. It starts with, right at the top, 144/30, January 26, 2001. That's the first page. Okay? So, are we all there? Keith?
Yep.
Herb?
I'm here.
Okay. What I'd like you to do is note the 01. Now, we flip page, we go to 05. That's all you need to do. You can look at the page if you want. Go to the next one, 07. Here I want you to stop and look at what they're showing you there for that bridge and the obstruction and the low flow. That's in 07. Skip a couple of, well, next page also at the bottom. Significant. My paper doesn't cooperate, my fingers are moving too fast. Here we go. Keep flipping. I want you to go to now, is the last 3 pages. I want the one that shows looking under the bridge where you can see the railing, the I-beams, and the flow. I think it's the third one from the rear. So if you go through and look at those pictures over the time, you can see the substantial improvements that have been made on this bridge. You're now looking at concrete foundations on both sides, a significantly clearer path for the water to flow, so a log doesn't come down and jam it up and wash the bridge out. Significant improvement in that bridge over the years. Going to the next page, you see it again. What a clear shot. You could take a canoe through, as opposed to the other ones you couldn't get through yourself. And we go to the last one. July 7th, 2022. And a 5.55 rating. And you've posted it for 24,000 pounds? No? No, posted it for 6 tons? 6 tons? Okay, 12,000 pounds. So I talked about this as how nonsensical it is. Picture the town of Unity over here, Herb and Jim, and we'll put Keith and Barry on, let's say, the Newport side. The town line for Newport is here. There is no turnaround. You gotta go up to the first house and have their permission to turn around. That's about 1.25 miles up the road that your truck goes. But he went over this bridge at 35,000 pounds in order to sand, salt, plow your section of road that is not Unity's. Have we got that? In violation of what you have posted on a bridge that doesn't have any posting requirements because it's 5.55. How stupid can we get here? Your road grader at 40,000 pounds crosses that in order to take care of your section of road. Also, now over here, Unity. You come down that hill start down that hill to the town line to do yours, you continue across that bridge. Same weight problems, same truck problems. Turns around and goes back across it. Does the same thing with a road grader. In order to do his portion of the road, he's got to have a grader. You can't turn it around. Where do you go? Why are you causing these people who drive trucks with the aggregates that you need and do the things that you need done to your roads to go all the way around, to go into Claremont, Newport, and then Route 10 South to get a load that could have gone 1 mile the other way? What's wrong here, people? Something's really wrong. Now, we're talking about this bridge being posted for, wow, go down Chandler's Mills Road. The first bridge you come to, you can go underneath that. You can take your hand and physically pull the web out of the beam. We took pictures of it today. Do we have the pictures here to show?
Just on the phone, but yes.
Well, please go. You have my invitation to go. It's not posted at all.
Share, that's the current web of-
So what's wrong here? Something's really wrong. You can't sit here like this and just do nothing. You are causing businesses and other communities to have expenses incurred that are unnecessary. It's bullshit. It's wrong. And somebody made a wrong decision. Or somebody did something in retaliation for something else. Or did it purposely. And I believe, when I get done, you'll understand what purposely means in this scenario. That bridge is safe for me to cross with a tractor trailer at 80,000 GVW. It is safe enough for me to cross at 55,000 pounds with a 10-wheeler. And what do you got of that? Why do I have to go around? Why have you done it? If you're doing your job is to inspect those bridges, know those bridges, and the state inspects them every 2 years. Wait a minute. Go to Channel's Mills Road. That, you actually put cones along that bridge to keep the traffic moved away from one side because of the weakness of that bridge. You can still go across at 55,000 pounds or 80,000 pounds. What's wrong? That bridge should never have been posted. Wrong. Never had been posted wrong. And to say you are preserving that bridge, for who? The George Washington Bridge, we're going to close it tomorrow because we're preserving it for the next generation. Boy, ain't I smart. Give me a break. Those bridges are in for people's convenience. And that means businesses and everybody in the community can use them, including school buses. Something is wrong here, boys, and you need to fix it. Because I'm telling you, the recompense for your actions that you're doing is going to be friggin' significant. Those signs come down off of that bridge. And don't forget my right to know request, because I'm going to hold you right to it. I want it. This is sick. So now, I'm sorry that I intruded on their turf at their time. But when I heard the information, I then got inquisitive and want to know what's going on. And now that what I found is that you are, as a community, inconveniencing other communities and everybody who wants to travel across that in a commercial sense, with a truck, with a load of something, to do what he's got to do, or what you even need to do with your own vehicles. So that being said, you have significant problems with this issue, because you've taken this man's business without any just cause. You're standing on swamp. You need to stop it ASAP, because you are gonna cost us significant money. Now, you're gonna say the insurance company's gonna pay it, and you're right, the insurance company will pay it. But all of us in the insurance pool have to contribute monies to pay out all of the losses. So, okay, we, to Newport, may only pay 10% of the loss, but every other community will also contribute to that loss, as you do right now for every loss that every other community does. This is shameful. I can't fathom it. I can't, and we pay $135,000 a year for this man's salary to keep the train on the tracks. And here it's derailed. Why? And now, because I have the floor, but I have not been recognized, I'm going to go to something else.
Before you do, I want to see if the Stevens have anything more they want to add. So it's their floor at this time.
Not at this moment on this,
You guys,
as far as the bridge work.
we will continue pursuing this and get an answer to it and determine exactly how that bridge should be posted properly and see that it is posted. Correct, Hunter?
Absolutely. Started that after your last meeting.
All right.
We are responsible for the posting of roads, are we not? Every spring when signs go up, it's per order of the Board of Selectmen. The posting of roads falls under our purview. Am I mistaken?
For spring conditions, and I don't know if it's year-round.
So the posting of roads falls under our purview.
Correct.
Posting
So
for
it would
mud
be-
season,
Yeah.
yes. Posting for bridges. Jim, I think that would cover that also, but you also can appoint somebody to do that, and you have a highway director. I'm not saying that that is your problem, I'm saying how it got there is a problem, and that it's staying there is a problem.
I see it as a solution. If we have the power to post roads or unpost roads, and we've got evidence sitting in front of us that shows that it's clearly rated for more, until evidence suggests and proves otherwise, it should be open and unposted, until evidence proves otherwise. Otherwise, it's suspect.
Jim, I couldn't agree with you more. But in this situation, it should have been recognized some time ago that this was wrong. I recognized it and spoke about it a significant amount of time ago. I don't know how long it was, because I myself had to violate it by going over that bridge with the town of Unity truck. So maybe this will come to a head tonight, and something will be done, and that is my objective, is to get the decision out of the dark and done, because it is so flagrantly wrong. I mean, I'd like to ask individually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is it right? And if I ask that question right now, I think you'd all would say no. Then I say to you, prove to me then what you did, without somebody sitting here and saying, the clouds, this attorney looked, this engineer looked, this engineer looked. Documentation, I want to see it. I want to read it. I want to see the date on it and exactly what he said. And I want to see what he went there to do. Did he go there to find out whether it was 6 ton? Did he go to inspect the bridge? And what is the state? The state isn't good at what they do, but yet they found Sand Hill. And then, because the Stevens Pit is the next thing after this bridge, let's talk about a couple other things. Sand Hill. Low bidder was here. Didn't get the job. Sand bids have gone out recently to be opened at a particular time. A bid came in late, and that person got the job. Think about that for a minute. What's the whole process do? You sit here, there's a process. You here make decisions, it's a process. When you prostitute the process, guess what? You miss the intent. So what is the intent? Sealed bids delivered by such a time and opened in a public meeting. But yet somebody comes in later, gets the job. How did that happen? Who's controlling that? Or, wait a minute, it's not controlled, obviously. If my facts are correct, bids due at this time in a sealed envelope, opened at a public setting, and then somebody comes in late and gets the job? How? The whole process is to get rid of the bid rigging. You want to give it to somebody else? Or you don't want to give it to somebody? Interesting that this guy was the low bidder, and he didn't get the job. So now we're talking Coonbrook Bridge, bothering this guy. We're talking Sand Hill. He didn't get the bid. And then we got the sand. What's going on at your highway garage? What's wrong here? You have highway employees leaving. An exit interview. An exit interview, a wonderful tool, because it gives you, the board, the purview to look at what the person leaving says. You might not do anything with the first one, but when the second one comes and et cetera, and you get more, you begin to add up and you begin to find out, geez, there's a problem here. But if those exit interviews do not go to you, you're in the dark. You do not know. You just know. You're gotta get another person. Let's see, you lost one last week and you're losing one this week at the highway garage? And a possible another one? And winter's coming? And I'll tell you, right point blank out of a conversation. This man said to me, Bert, you're my backup for this coming winter to plow snow. I carry a CDL, medical certificate, and I drive plow truck. This right here says absolutely no, I will not do it. Do not call my phone, and I'm informing him right now. Do not call me. I'm not going to get up in the middle of the night and go to work for an organization that isn't organized. It's disorganized. Something is wrong. That all being said, I'm going to point more wrong. You all got an email, I hope, a copy of it from the town manager to me. Did you get it? A copy of the email on the culvert, the picture that's up here?
Yes, I got a copy.
Excuse me?
I got a copy.
Okay. So I assume the board got a copy. All right. There's a driveway, has a culvert, the ribs are showing, and so I bring it to the attention to get it fixed before it collapses and becomes a bigger deal. I am told it's my culvert, but yet it's in the right of way, and the drainage ditch that comes down goes right through that culvert. If it's mine, I can take it out. I can fill the hole. Where's the water gonna go? Across the road? Where's it gonna go? It's common sense, it's gotta go down there, right? There's a ditch coming to it and a ditch going away from it. It's mine. I'm gonna take it out. I'm gonna fill the hole. Oh, you gonna come dig it out? If so, with what authority do you dig on my property? If in fact it's my culvert. All I wanted was to bring the problem to your attention. I left with essentially no answer, and so therefore I put a prohibition on. Don't turn around here. Then I get the letter saying, well, we're willing to go down there and put fill over the top of it, and we're not going to use it anymore because we don't need it. It's been 10 years, Jeff, Jim, Herb, Barry, Keith. I'm not asking any money, nothing. I don't use it. It's fine. You have parked the water truck, the grader, mowers. You've taken fill off of the road to do construction. You put it there and stored it, left it there for however length of time, then came and took it away and put it back where it went. Used it as yours. That was a gift. I didn't even ask for an abatement. Maybe you should have done that. Used as yours, and now you don't need it anymore. I'm sorry. Credibility is lost. I do not believe the statement. The grader's gonna go up to Cuts Road, and Cuts Road is not a 90-degree corner to make a turn on. It is like this. Real easy to back in, real hard to make it out with the grader. And to say you're not using it is to take away an advantage, a gift that I gave the town. Take it away. And so somebody's gonna go a quarter mile and a quarter mile back, and you're paying this time. They're gonna do it with dump trucks. They're gonna do it with plow trucks. This happened to be right at the transition from pavement to dirt. So, when they change their sand application or salt application, whatever they've got, or they turn around to go back to wing back, or whatever they do, they did it there. I think it is worth having. So I think probably the smart thing to have done would just be, well, let's see, we're either gonna fill over the top of that like we said we're gonna do now, but not use it, and then continue to use it. I really don't care what you do with that culvert. Except for you're not gonna take it away. Because then there's gonna have to be a ditch across the front of my property if I ever wanna turn around in there, or anybody else does. Fishermen go there. They park there to go fishing. So, why don't you do something? Correct. The thinking process at the highway garage and through the administration up to this level has got a major problem that needs to be solved. And so, I'm gonna take and be Burke. I'm gonna make it to the point where it becomes one like the little kid with the pill. I'm gonna take the pill, mommy, and cry, and finally you mash it up and put it in something else. That offer for that turnaround is on the table to use by this town to the end of next month. If in fact you do not use it, then I'm going to say, okay, we're playing stupid here. And I'm not going to play in the game. So then at that point I'm going to say, all right, I gave permission for the bridge further up on Chandler's Mills Road. Not very far. You go down Chandler's Mills Road, it's the bridge right there. You can't go on the river side of it with a detour. Why? Because there's a septic system there on one of the properties. So I offered it no charge to the town. Is that right, Hunter?
I don't recall this conversation.
You don't recall the conversation. Okay? I made it very clear to you. A bidder came, was looking at the bridge. I made it clear to him, clear to Todd at that time, and in a conversation to you later, that it would be free.
I don't dispute that, I just don't recall.
I'm speaking now.
You asked me a question.
I'm speaking now. I'm not asking you a question. You didn't answer it. So that all being said, I went to Bruce Burrows because he would be the other half. And he said, yeah, okay. So it was all set for the detour to go around that bridge, to build that bridge. At no charge. No, nothing. The only condition was put it back like it was when you started. Take a picture or take a survey, whatever you gotta do, put it back like it. I'm not gonna do that anymore. Not for this administration, not with what I see happening here to this person and to the community and all of the surrounding towns that have been detoured by this bullshit. These are nice people that came to you, and I've interrupted their speaking, and I hope that I do not, I hope I've not said anything that makes them look worse. I'm talking for Bert now, as a citizen and as a person who can see the wrongs that were done. I had to break the law in order to do my job when I plowed for the town of Unity, and that should not have happened. So if you take all of that and walk away from it and don't do something, it's gonna be just the beginning for me. And the town manager said something about should he be quit or something like that. If this doesn't get fixed, I'm gonna go on that, Ben. Yep, he's gotta go. If he can't fix this, because it's broken, if he can't fix this, then it's gonna happen, because I'll make it happen. Thank you for listening, but do something. And furthermore, I want to say one thing that I have heard. Under RSA 91A3, Roman 2, E is in Edward. Consideration or negotiations pending claims or litigation which has been threatened in writing. So right now you have been threatened, but it's not in writing. So you can continue to talk about it, and I can continue to talk about it. And if there has been no threat in writing, can you guys read? I hope. Then they have a right to be here and speak to it, and you have a right to speak to it. So the problem can be solved. But if you push it much further, guess what? That's it for me. Now it's your turn to do your job.
Yes, sir, in the back.
Doug Ring again. I have a couple questions and then a statement after it, I guess. Mr. Burrows, you were on a conversation there about making this road right with the evidence you have in front of you. Was that a motion, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, was that a motion that you were going to bring to the board tonight to make that right until it's proven it's unfit?
Still under discussion, I guess, but I've made no such motion yet.
Right, I understand that. I was just trying to clarify that a little bit. And I appreciate you looking at both ends on that. Thank you. This question is for Mr. Stevens.
No, you can address the board.
What it is to the board, and I'm asking the board to relate to Mr. Stevens. Coonbrook Road, that road looks beautiful after the flood, and I believe Mr. Stevens did all the road condition there, because he cares about his road and stuff like that, and the neighbors that have to go up and down that road. I imagine he spent a lot of money and cares about that road. So he probably would not want to hurt that bridge, but he has all these facts in front of him from the state and everywhere. This bridge is okay to drive on. So that's something that I'd like to have the board look, consider, that Mr. Stevens cares a lot about this town and is not afraid to spend his money and not asking for money back to the town. I heard some talk about these exit interviews and stuff like that. And it's funny, when I was running for select board, I did my own interviews. Some employees were leaving the town, and I went and talked to them. They were very disgruntled on the way the things that the town manager was running things, and they didn't feel that the exit interview would ever get to the select board, so they didn't really do one. Or if they did do one, it didn't get to you guys. I'm kind of curious about that, and I think a lot of people asking that same question. And it seems here that we have, is it bid rigging? Is that what we get brought up here tonight, bid rigging? Yes. That's illegal, isn't it? I'm pretty sure that, the Attorney General's office would love to hear about this. I'm not sure if the board's gonna bring it to them or not, but, we have the gentleman down front to the right there, he brought up a lot of concerning questions. And my question is the board asleep at the wheel? You don't know about a bridge for over a year? How many other things don't you know about? Are we gonna wake up tomorrow morning and miss one of these bridges because they're gonna fall in? It's very depressing, very depressing. At this point in time, I'm gonna be the ugly guy in the room, and I'm gonna ask for the town manager's resignation tonight. He's done a lot of illegal things here, a lot of biased things that is very inappropriate for a town official. And I'm also gonna be like Bert, if I don't see some improvements here, I will call the Attorney General's office in and have them do their own investigation. I have done a lot myself on the side, and I can help them find the information they need. I'm asking the board to do their job.
Here's what I recommend. If you feel there's something illegal going on in the town, I would encourage you to call the Attorney General's office tomorrow morning and express your concern.
I might have already.
If, whether you have or not, if you have concerns that you feel warrant notifying the Attorney General's office, I encourage you to do so they can start an investigation.
So, bid rigging, you don't think that's a concern?
I can't comment on
I
that.
know, you can't comment on anything. I understand. Thank you.
All right, anything else?
But I would like to have those answers that I just asked.
Which ones?
Which one? Well, I'd like to know about the exit interviews.
Exit interviews are done by the town manager. The town manager is responsible for hiring and firing people, and the town manager does the exit interviews.
And do they get to the select board?
That's up to the town manager, that's his purview.
So, what you're saying is okay for the town manager to push people out that have a lot of knowledge in this town, and the board don't care about it?
I haven't heard of any case of that happening.
I'm sure you haven't.
I don't know if others have or not.
Have you done your personal interview about that, or are you just relying on this gentleman over here to give you all the information?
What do you mean personal interview? Do I interview people leaving personally?
Yes.
No, that's the town manager's job. That's
Oh,
why
so-
we've hired the town manager.
So, as a select board member, it's not your job to do any of that stuff.
That's why we have a town manager form of government.
So why did we elect you then? What do you just taking up space and running a meeting and that's it?
That's part of it. We set the budget, we set policy,
No,
and we hire the town manager to run the town.
I disagree with that. That is only a quarter of your role. Your role is checks and balances, just like anything else. You need to check on his job, you need to check on the town highway, the water department. Everybody has a different opinion. This board needs to check it out too. I can tell you tomorrow morning, there's gonna be a Rolls Royce out here for everybody, and you're gonna believe that? You're sleeping at the wheel.
Okay.
And it's simple.
Mr. President.
I do expect his resignation by tomorrow morning.
Don't get your hopes up. Mr. Spaulding.
And now I'll speak for myself. And I'll start with the exit interview. It is your job to make sure that he does his job.
Yes.
And I'm gonna stop there and say, I think it's about 20 million he's brought in money. On that, he gets an A+ for bringing in these dollars to, and following through on them. That's tremendous. And you enjoy that. You as a board, you say yes to all of the gifts that are coming in. That's one side of the record. The other side is, if a correction needs to happen, and it doesn't happen in a timely fashion, if in fact the evidence has to mount to the point where the public's business is not being done, and people are being hurt, you could find from an exit interview, you might find that over time. But you're saying no. I'm saying it should be in your purview, not in his. It's a judgment of how he's done. He's Mr. General, Mr. Colonel, Mr. Major. He's running your troops out there. And if the troops aren't happy, and whatever, and they want to do an exit interview so that they can get a message that goes beyond him, you don't want the message. You're not getting it. That's a flaw in that. There's no check and balance. So that's one thing to consider. The bid situation to me almost comes to a violation of the law. The low bidder didn't get the job, and information that was sent to the state to change the decision was at best nefarious. The sand bids, this doesn't bother you? Coming in late? I'm missing some. No, it's my, Jeff, you recognize me to talk. I'm gonna talk now, Jeff. You can talk after, you can talk after. Okay? Thank you. So, you're sick and tired of listening to the bullshit coming at you, but it's not bullshit, it's information. And it's up to you then to take that and discern what you're gonna do about it. And that's my point. So I'm gonna go through my points. So, that being said, the late bid coming in is significant. It's not fair to all of the others. And it is a violation of the law. You recommended to the guy back here that he go to the Attorney General. You know what that is? That's another dead hole where nothing happens. That's where nothing happens. You're facing high probability, because of the amount of damages that you are causing, a very strong lawsuit against the town by these people who employ people and pay taxes in this town. Interesting. And to say for him to do that, I should think your statement would have been, we're gonna work on this. We're gonna see some sort of daylight at the end of the tunnel, that you're gonna do something. Because I'm not sure that you are. As I said, the recompense will be huge. And that all said, I will not do the bypass around the Channels Mills Road Bridge now, period, until you do something right. I like good government. When it's right, I'm fine. When it's bad, I'm there. And so I'm here on this issue until you solve it. And Jeff, I'm looking straight at you because you're the chair. Get it done. Solve the problem. Because the problem is greater than what has come to you tonight. There is other streets involved. There is a problem with Maple Street where significant problems have not arisen, but yet somebody is putting pressure on to get it done. A small job being blown out of proportions financially. Come on, Jeff. You have a job to do. And that job is not to blindly support what's wrong. And now, you have my permission to speak, Jeff.
I'm good.
Thank you.
Anyone else from open forum?
I'd like to touch on the sand bid process, and I've actually brought all of the information. I requested it from the highway department, and I received it. Here's a copy. First and foremost, I would like to understand from the board's point of view, let me just start by explaining what's here. I think would be easier. You're going to see the bids that were submitted this year on behalf of the sand. First being Carroll Concrete, time stamped, when it was received, and by who. The second bidder in line in this packet, United Construction, winter sand bid, no time stamp. Bert's indicated to you folks that did not come in at the requested time. If we go on, there's a letter that has been sent to three companies, sorry. One Ray Kibbe, one Carroll Concrete, and one United Construction. It's clearly stated the contract terms are from September 1 to May 31st, 2023. They're sealed quotes received by the Public Works at 10 a.m. Monday, August 15th. This gets sent to every bidder that was included. It has the target gradation, specifications. It's very well defined. The Public Works Director knows that this bid was brought in after hours and awards it because there is a letter in the last page of this packet, awards it to a company that didn't meet your specifications.
Didn't meet the specification or didn't meet the
Didn't meet,
deadline?
I'm sorry, did not meet the timed line that was requested.
Didn't meet the
Sorry, yes.
bid
The
deadline?
bid deadline.
Okay.
And I would just, I'm sharing that with you because I'm supporting what Bert had brought to your attention. And secondly, we previously had been invited for 2 years prior to this sand bid process. This year, for some reason, I guess we are not. Not sure. The one gentleman that's here, I specifically reached out to, Ray Kibbe, I thought was kind of odd. He said that he put a bid in approximately 10 years ago, and they've just kept him in the process for the last 10 years. They send him a letter every year. If he would like to bid on the sand, he so has the opportunity to.
But you were bid every year, didn't get one this year.
So for the last 2 years, I was involved in that process. One of those years, we supplied winter sand. One of those, we did not. We got a letter from you stating you were going with another contractor. Completely understand. And I would just like to understand from the board's point of view, is there a reason why we would not be included in that process?
I certainly would hope not.
I would hope not to.
I do know that the town manager looked into it, spoke to the people involved, and, has addressed the issue. Such, I don't know if there's anything more that can be said. It was, I'd say some errors were involved.
Well, I can tell you the process, I think, would be completely out of line to put it back out on the street and rebid it. The only qualified bidder here is Carroll Concrete. They met every criteria, they did exactly what was asked, and they are the only reasonable bidder involved. To put it back out on the street and rebid that process, I feel would be completely out of line.
Would be out of line?
They've put their numbers in front of everybody, so now if you were to rebid that process, I could easily say, my gosh, they were
Right.
a few cents different than me. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
this
what you're
is,
saying.
they are the only responsible bidders that did what they should have done.
Certainly from what is here and what I've, learned from town manager's investigation of it, the process was not done correctly. There's mistakes made in the highway department, and it's my impression that everyone has learned a lesson from this down there as to the proper way to do bidding and all.
Let's hope.
And-
Well, I'm sitting here and I've heard all of this tonight. If it is true that the bidder was late in getting the bid in, he shouldn't have gotten a bid.
Correct.
goes without saying.
So you can't just say, hey, mistakes were made, we're sorry. Withdraw the bid from him and give it to Carroll Concrete. Because this is, this is getting out of hand. I mean, and I don't want to be lectured about it. This is my feeling, and this is not right. If that came in late and it was still awarded, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And I'm seeing duck and fish in this whole process. So that's my feeling, and if we want to take it up under an action item, I'd be more than willing to do that. But I'm not going to sit here and just say, oh, mistakes were made, and I'm sorry. Enough's enough.
The question comes in as to how much sand we've already hauled.
Hunter, you have a...
Yeah, I would caution that all of the information that you have heard tonight is not complete or accurate, and there's much more to the story that I've shared in some detail with you. As to the degree I'm able to electronically, I've been in touch with the chairman in more detail. I'm more than happy to discuss this in a non-public session, because it does involve personnel and actions pending with certain members of our staff. But I think for anybody to draw any serious conclusions based on what you've heard would be premature.
Barry? Anything?
Oh, I'm tired of it, okay? I want something done. And I hear the same thing, you gotta look into this, we gotta do that. Hey, if a mistake, you admit it, there was a mistake made. Do the right thing and correct it. That's my point. And I don't need to, have this mystery or cloud. It seems pretty straightforward to me. And maybe I'm jumping the gun. Hey, been known to do that before, but I'd rather jump than sit here and have nothing happen all the time.
Mrs. Spaulding?
I couldn't agree with Barry more, because what Hunter said was diffuse, diffuse, diffuse. There's other things happening. Yeah, there are. Employees are leaving, and contractors are being hurt, the public is being hurt, and the can's getting kicked down the road. All right, so on the bridge, you want time. Okay, that's good, because I also want time. I want to read those engineering reports and what they say about that bridge, if there is one. But that being said, here it's cut and dried, it's clear. Your own admission, Jeff, wrong was done. So what is the best way to correct the wrong that's done? Say, hey, wrong was done. Now it's time to fix it. So Barry is 100% right. Now is the time to fix it, to begin the fix, regardless of the smoke and mirrors and what's coming after.
Hunter?
Well, I would generally agree with that, except for the premise that the fix has not already taken place. And I'm not at liberty to discuss that in an open session. I'm happy to provide that information. Jeff, I think you're privy to some of that information, but happy to do that. But there's a lot of innuendo and presumption being made here tonight that I'm not at liberty to respond to in an open session.
Hunter, did we not present the facts, though?
Not
I mean, the
necessarily.
bid submission, was it not accepted?
Facts aren't relevant anymore.
It
It's not
doesn't matter.
relevant. It's politics. We gotta play the game here, right? They could make a motion to go in non-public session right now, and we could leave and go out there, and then they call us in when they're done, and they would then know what he just said. But no, it will get delayed. We're looking at least 2 weeks before things happen. So the longer it goes, the more sand that's moved, or whatever the problem is, they could do a non-public session right now. We go outside, and then we come back in.
Well, I think under all these things that we've heard, there's only one thing we really could take action on tonight, and that would be the posting of the road.
Right.
And that's something that we could certainly add to the action items to address that. And I'd move that along on the action item.
I would not be in favor of that because I'm not an engineer, and
Well,
I'm not,
I worked a long time in a world where it's innocent until proven guilty. It's factual information until proven otherwise. We got State of New Hampshire report from 2020. Says 5 out of 5, perfect, good. Another review and photographs that the state took in 2021, right about the same time the town posted it, down to 6 ton. still good. Improvements were made. Now in 2022, in a matter of weeks, we're gonna be getting the new updated report, and I hazard to bet it's probably not too different than what it was in 2020. So that's evidence. Innocent until proven guilty, good until proven otherwise. So my suggestion would be, we'd put that under action item and change the posting of the road.
We can do that. Barrett?
Well, I'd be in favor of that, but I want to know, we've bantered about engineers. Your statement, Hunter, did not convince me that these people actually went out and looked at the bridge.
They were there in person,
They were there in person.
yes. So I've been told.
Look, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just saying, I'm not
That's what I've been told.
sure that these people actually went out. If they went out, hey, I want to see the report as much as he does.
In 2021, when the roads were posted, or recently? This is a better question.
So, I am not an engineer.
I know that.
I know that when a condition of a road, for instance, tonight, a bridge has been, the condition of a bridge has been questioned. So it's incumbent upon me to make sure that there's a foundation or no foundation for that claim. So you can rest assured that we're going to be seeking a review of the bridge on Chandler's Mill to see if it is in fact as quote, as was mentioned at the last meeting by a gentleman that was here, in as tender a condition as it has been reported to be. And I'm not going to represent the condition of a bridge to you one way or the other until an engineer tells me so. So, because as you learned about this bridge with Coombe, it was the same time I learned about the condition of that bridge. I have asked for information. I've gotten reports indicating that one gentleman who's very well accomplished in the world of bridge construction and an engineer have looked at it. I was told that they both went down there personally and looked at it. And I've asked for some written assessments of it. I have not gotten those yet. I will follow the information where it leads me. I'm going to ask the state if they'll release a preliminary report of their next bridge inspection, and we'll go with that. The state is traditionally the ones who do the bridge inspections. But I will remind you that Sand Hill Bridge went from being passable to impassable in a matter of months. And it's not for me to say what causes that to happen. So I would caution you about doing too much too quickly without some assessment by a qualified engineer. And under the current circumstances, I think you all can imagine that it's probably a little more difficult to get an engineer to show up when you snap your fingers and want them to come and look at a situation. But
Did an engineer originally say that needs to be reduced to 6 ton?
I am told that both engineers, one was an
No,
engineer.
when the original posting took place, did an engineer say, oh, we gotta move that, or was it somebody at the town garage that said, we
No.
need to post it?
No, my understanding is, based on what I've been able to assemble in the last less than 14 days, is that there was concern about the condition of the bridge. Daniels was invited to come and look at it and give their opinion, and an engineer from Hoyle Tanner had been invited to come and look at it. Both people went to the site and gave their assessment and recommended that the bridge weight be reduced given its condition. And so I've asked for a detailed report of that recommendation. I have not gotten that yet. So when it arrives, or the state arrives, whichever one happens first, I prefer to have the state, because that's all they do. The bridge division, that's all they do is do inspections, and they have the benefit of the previous report. So that if they said in 1 year it's 555, and the next inspection 2 years later, it's a 111, they will have the opportunity to opine on what has happened in the interim. It would be good to know that. Bridges do deteriorate, as I just explained. The bridge up here that we're just finishing now went from, yeah, it's okay, to, no, you got to close it right now. So I can't judge that. But if you want to, we'll post it any way you want to. But my suggestion to you is you let this play out for another week or two and get the right people in there and get the right documentation. And if it was posted improperly, it'll be reposted. If it was posted with any bias, which I have not found any evidence of it just yet, I've interviewed a number of people about that. And if there's some wrongdoing there, we will attend to that in due course, in an appropriate manner. But I will not take action based on what people come to a meeting and think happened, or believe happened, or think that should happen, or what's convenient, or what's not convenient, and so on and so forth.
So hopefully the engineers provided information contemporaneous with when the bridge was posted over a year ago. So that should be dated somewhere in 2021.
I would hope so.
I'm hoping
but
that's what
I
it
don't
shows.
know. You know, and not as a defense, but we do have one or two other things going on, and this is not, we've not, you know, suspended everything else going on in town to go and, you know, drag people into this.
If that information was brought to the town by an authorized engineers, you know, the town is aware of that information, is it not incumbent on the town to proceed that for liability reasons, if nothing else?
Without question, and in fact, for you to do anything would be negligent. Anything else would be negligent, in my mind.
So a year ago, when you just put a posting on, you just mentioned earlier in the meeting that it was roughly 2 weeks ago that you had somebody go out to inspect. It was not done a year
I can only tell
ago.
you, I became aware of this 2 weeks ago. I don't know anything else that's happened a year ago.
Mr. Ring, you've had your
I have no idea.
Yes, I've been sitting in the same room here, and I believe that Mr. Hunter just gave two different answers to the same question. First, it was, well, I don't know, but I've been told that somebody went down and looked at it. But now he's giving all kinds of opinion of, well, they went and looked at it, and I have answers, but we don't have any answers because he must not have read the information or whatever. It's a snowball effect here. The gentleman at the end of the board, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, but I thank you for stepping up and trying to do the right thing here. That's what the board should be doing. You have the facts in front of you, and go with them. Thank you. Hunter?
So, just for this gentleman's clarification, I'm not really sure what he's referring to, but I'll try to repeat myself in a fashion that perhaps is more clear. I have asked since the last meeting, when I learned about this situation of the select board roughly 2 weeks ago, I have reached out to a number of different people. I have requested reports. Some of them have been verbal, some have been in writing. I've asked for more reports in writing. I can only tell you what I've been told. I was not there. If I have a document that says on the 5th of August, Joe and Steve met at a site to do something, I can only tell you that's what I've been told. I cannot attest to you personally that Joe and Steve met on August, whatever it was. So I can't, because I don't have any personal knowledge of that. I can only tell you what the reports and the interviews have enlightened me to. And so they're only as good as the reports and the people that I've been speaking to. But I've spoken with more than one person to try to, as Mr. Burrows would certainly attest, get different perspectives on what happened, why it happened, who said what to whom. And unfortunately, human beings, such as they are somewhat subject to errors, differences of opinion, different perspectives. Eyewitness accounts of things are not as reliable as many people think they are. You get a room full of people to see a particular event, they can report very different observations. So you try to get a number of different perspectives and develop a consensus as to what was likely to occur, what likely occurred. So I hope that I make that more clear. And the process is ongoing. As I said, and I think each one of you would attest, the select board at your last meeting, Mr. Spalding raised some concerns about his culvert, and I think you got an email from me by Wednesday or Thursday about my follow-up to that. I might be off by a day, but so that took time to attend to, and I think we attended to that in a matter of days in a timely fashion. And so then we moved on to this. So we do have other things, and so I think in 10 days or so to have gotten as far as we have is not a reasonable period of time. And as I said, as we move through the process and I'm able to ascertain errors or omissions and things of that nature, we will deal with them accordingly. I can assure you, as you have seen in my emails to you, that I've reached out to both of the other contractors that are involved in the sand bid situation and explained to them what is going on. So we're trying to be very open and upfront with all of the interested parties, as best as we were able, given the time that has transpired. So we'll continue in that fashion. I'll report accordingly, as I always do. You, as the public may not be aware, the select board get emails from me virtually every day.
Josh, question for you.
During that,
Question for you. The bridge got switched from E2 to 6 tons last year, about a year ago or so?
yes, I received an email from,
So you got an email when it was done stating that it was being lowered?
correct.
Okay.
Yep.
But the E2 sign is still there.
Right.
Plus the 6 ton.
Right.
Pretty conflicting.
Yes. Okay. So, at this point, pretty much between, more than likely, we need to get the state to confirm what the actual condition of the bridge is so that we can make sure it's posted correctly. And if it is in as good a shape as this report, tends to imply, or, we need to see why perhaps Daniels and the other company thought it should be less and figure out what's going on.
Or if they were even involved a year ago.
What's that?
Or if they were involved a year ago to make that decision.
I think we heard that they were.
Well, I don't know when they were there. All I can say is that they, I want to make it clear, I don't know when they were there. All I was told was that decision was supported by personal visits by a representative of Daniels and a representative, I believe it was Will Tanner.
And so when there's other deficiencies in bridges that are acknowledged by the town highway garage employees, do you guys typically call outside engineering services or do you go right to NHDOT?
Good question. I think the state bridge authorities, the answer DOT, I would assume would be using the free services from DOT. Not
I'm
paying,
asking
not
you,
paying
I'm asking you a
for.
question, so is that a normal process and protocol for this town when there is a potential deficiency in a bridge that we go to outside services? And I also feel that Daniels, here they are doing Sand Hill Bridge, which we're all very well aware, of interest actually. They're already doing other bridge work in our town and doing other work for our town, so why are we asking them? That, like Josh just mentioned, you can't go ask Josh Stevens to go assess Coomberg Bridge or any other bridge in town. We live here, we work here. That's a huge conflict of interest.
Might they be looking for more work?
Well, I'm not implying anything right now. I'm just saying it's a conflict. So, and the other folks, I'm not sure who the other engineering company is, but do we use them on a regular basis for something? I don't know why we would not go directly to NHDOT, to folks that do bridges every day, all day long, and this is their job, to inspect bridges.
I think
And by the way, we don't pay
When it's
them.
available.
I think the answer was getting someone there in a timely fashion.
I
New
called
Hampshire.
this man and I talked to him within 2 days. I'm not saying he can't come to do an inspection in a timely fashion. I didn't ask him to do that.
Yeah.
But you can speak to somebody immediately if there's an issue. And I want to know exactly the date and the time that Daniels and this other engineering firm were contacted and also then made an inspection. And was it last August when that sign was posted? Or was it 2 weeks ago when we brought this to everyone's attention and they happened to be working a mile down the road?
I think that's part of Mr. Spaulding's 91A request.
And I'd also like to participate in that 91A request for all of that information. Absolutely.
All right. Anything else? Anything else for open forum? Mr. Spaulding?
One of the glaring things here that I gotta really drive home is, 2 years ago, I said to this board that I could go underneath that bridge at Channels Mills Road and take the pieces of metal right out. Do any of you remember that?
Yes,
No.
I do.
Yes or no?
I recall you talking about the bridge. I don't recall the specifics.
Thank you.
I don't think I watched that episode.
So, almost 2 years ago, I made that statement. The bridge to this day isn't posted. But yet, a bridge that has had no problems by the state inspections is. The dichotomy is striking. And then to kind of put it in the context or the distance between the decision and the presentation tonight, to get that distance in there, we're talking public safety with bridges. What bridges get inspected? The ones that you can conveniently, easily go underneath and see? Not the ones in your pictures that you saw where it's clogged and you just can't fathom how water gets through it. And then you look at the one that is done in the pictures that you have, showing that now you could take a canoe through it if you wanted. The dichotomy there is, again, striking on that bridge that was posted after being repaired, and not on one that has not been repaired. Something is wrong, Jeff. Hunter can sit here and put all of the vagueness into it that he possibly wants in order to diffuse the situation. To me, it doesn't diffuse it. It's adding more fuel to the fire. Somebody on this board or the board, you make your motion, do your motion, but you've got to get the bull by the horns and find out what's going on and be able to sit right here and say, Mr. Spalding, you're full of shit. And I'll be glad to hear that.
Anything else?
No, not this time.
Hunter?
Well, just as I guess a point of fact, I have a chunk of the bridge that you were talking about on my desk.
Which one?
Of the bridge that is in question here.
Chandler's Mills Bridge or the?
No, the Coonbrook Bridge. So, there are a number of different perspectives going on here, and I said, not being an engineer, I'm not trying to be, I forgot what Mr. Spalding just said, I'm not trying to be, evasive or whatever. But I'm not an engineer, and it's my intent to look after the traveling public safety, and cut through all the commentary, perspectives, and this and that, and the other thing, and get a qualified engineer to look at it and tell me directly in writing what the condition of the bridge is. And then we will deal with everything that flows from that decision. So, there's lots of different perspectives, lots of room for interpretation. But in my opinion, and I'm sorry, you certainly can direct us to post that bridge any way you'd like. But my advice to you is I would defer such action until a qualified engineer gives that opinion.
All right. Anything else from open forum? All right, move on to Board of Selectmen. Oh, let's see. Herb, anything?
All set.
Jim?
Nope.
All set? Keith? Barry?
Just to add a little different light, and so people understand I'm not always negative about things. I really want to compliment the people who put together and continue to put together that Newport Times. Exceptional, absolutely exceptional. And so kudos to them, and please continue. It's an excellent way to get the town's good news out,
Absolutely.
so keep it up.
All set?
I guess so.
Okay. I've got a couple things. First, something I forgot to mention last time. I want to thank everyone that came out for the primary voting last month. We had 850-some people come out, which was a good number. And I want to thank everyone that came out, everyone that worked the polls. And I encourage everyone to get out on November 8th for the general election. Learn about the candidates, learn about their positions and issues, and certainly come out and vote. Again, it'll be at the Newport High School. And the other thing I want to talk about, since we were talking about bridges, this Saturday up at the Corbin Covered Bridge, the, let me get this correct here, I believe it's the Untitled Chapter of Newport, the Daughters of the American Revolution, presented the DAR Excellence in Historical Preservation Medal to Arnold M. Grayton. Arnold Grayton was responsible for the reconstruction of the Corbin Covered Bridge 20-some years ago. He was also involved in the restoration of the Eagle Block and is currently working on restoring the roof on our 1927 community hangar at the airport. And as I learned at that ceremony, Arnold Grayton has been involved in the restoration or replacement of about 70 covered bridges around the country, along with other things. Also at that award ceremony, the DAR History Award Medal was presented to the National Society for the Preservation of Covered Bridges. There were probably about 50 people there. It was a nice turnout. It was nice that they had that recognition of Arnold Grayton and that Preservation Society here in Newport. The Corbin Covered Bridge certainly is a symbol of our town. I think it's on our town seal or such. And various places around town. And it was some good coverage for the town. And also, I guess I want to remind people, I guess this weekend is homecoming at the high school. The parade is Saturday at 10 o'clock. Is that generally when the parade is? And then after the parade, I guess the Library Arts Center is having the unveiling of the reproduction of the mural on the side, I guess, of what's the Johnson Block now. So I think that's 11 o'clock, so another opportunity to take part in some of the great events we do here in Newport. And that's all I have. Hunter, anything?
No, thank you.
All right, moving on, informational. We are still pursuing additional grants and donations for construction of the community center. We are hearing that construction costs next year are sort of becoming kind of steady. They're not increasing as much. I think we can, in a bizarre way, thank the cost of borrowing money on that. Not as much people out there doing stuff, so it looks, you know, we are still pursuing funding for that, and we'll keep you informed how that goes along. That's it on the community center for tonight. Action items, golf course discretionary easement. Now, we had voted on this earlier, but we need to make a formal vote on this to satisfy the proper authorities. We have a memo from Paul Brown, Finance Director, saying in April we approved the concept of renewing the discretionary easement on the golf course. We need to make it formal. We have the form for that. Paul, where'd he go? He just stepped out?
Yeah, he's here.
Okay. Generally, the golf course, every 10 years, we have been giving them a discretionary easement on their property taxes because the golf course does serve as sort of a reservoir in case of flooding from the south branch of the Sugar River. It generally would flood and then release that water slightly slower, at a slightly slower rate so that we don't wash out Meadow Park as it comes around that bend there. Paul, how do we need to formally do this for the golf course for the discretionary easement? Just a motion?
I was actually going to ask if we could get pushed off one or two items. I just had to ask one more question to the assessor based on something Nick just asked.
Okay? We can come back to this then, but not too long.
No, I'm trying.
Next up, we have lease agreement with Econ Economic Corporation of Newport for leasing about 2 acres of land at the Ash landfill for use as our shooting range. We have the lease here. Are there any comments on this or such?
No, it's a renewal of a former lease that we've had with them for the use of, as you said, about 2 acres, not quite. It supports training and training opportunities for Newport and surrounding police departments, Ruger, and the town's recreation program, which has been very successful thus far. And I think it adequately addresses liability matters and issues and sets a fixed annual fee that we have been paying in the past years, which is then in turn used by Econ to assist them in collecting the necessary funds to maintain landfill.
Maintain the monitoring at the landfill.
Yes. So it's kind of status quo. It's some minor language changes here and there, but nothing of any real consequence. I think it makes it, probably the biggest change is it makes it clearer that the town and Econ are in sync with its current, its use and the users, specifying police departments and the rec program and Ruger. So I see no reasons why you wouldn't reapprove it. Yeah, so we're in the midst of arranging for some lead remediation that needs to be done there periodically, 3, 4, 5 years. We're working with Ruger because they have similar challenges at their facility, and we're going to be doing that jointly with them. And so we expect, I'm told, by responsible people, that could occur this fall, and if not this fall, certainly by the spring. And at that point, the range and the backstop will be tidied up and ready to go for the new season. So unless you have any other specific questions, I think it's a good arrangement for both parties, or all concerned.
This lease is for 1 year with renewals
Yes.
on an annual basis.
Right.
Any comments from the board or questions on it, or?
It has been reviewed and approved by Econ, just it's only awaiting our signature.
Okay. Any comments from the audience on this? Is there a motion from the board on this?
Make a motion that we accept the amended range lease with Econ, between Econ and Town of Newport. And further authorize the town manager to sign the agreement and any other paperwork involved.
I'd second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Okay. Shoot, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna move all the way to E, general election polling hours, since I think we have a couple people waiting for that, and waiting patiently. Our primary election, the polling hours were from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. The Board of Selectmen have the discretion to change those hours. Heard from some people who would like an earlier starting time of 7 a.m. and go until 7 p.m. What's the interest of the board? Are we good at from 8 to 7, or is there any interest in starting earlier? Also means we will need to have coverage there an hour earlier.
I would assume that's because there's a demand for people who want to vote,
There are people who
want to get there early for the good work.
Yes,
I'd be in favor.
I think, Lee, you want to speak to this?
Yeah, so I just wanted to take a look and see what we're allowed and not allowed to do. So, just to be clear, so this is in your nightly reading here.
Yeah, page
Your
80.
election procedure manual, so under, it's in a couple of different places, but under duties of selectmen, page 264, it does say, as an alternative to the procedures established in RSA 659, which, dash A, :4 dash A, sorry. It gives all the different ways that you can change polling hours. That's what that RSA says. And described above, the governing body, which is you of a town, may extend hours of polling in the town. Any extension of hours adopted by a town may not take effect sooner than 60 days after its adoption. I kind of don't like the negative, but that's the way it's written. So may not take effect sooner than 60 days after its adoption.
Okay.
So that would be the hours.
Yeah, I don't have that in front of me. I may be able to pull it, but when it says legislative body, that is the town meeting. That is not us, right?
However,
Go
the
ahead.
clerk is
Governing-
correct. You only have authority to,
Just
Virginia Irwin,
Thank you.
town moderator, you only have the authority to change the hours of a town election
Okay.
at whim. This is a state election, and you must not do it no sooner than 60 days before the election. So you have to have done it 60 days or more before the election because it's a state election. You can change the hours for town elections, and then there's a 14-day posting notice. So for this, it's a state election, so you've missed the deadline. It's RSA 659 for section 4, Roman 4. Which is an alternative procedure, which does give you the authority, rather than the legislative body. But in this case, you missed the deadline.
What was that RSA again?
RSA 659, :4, Roman, :4A, Roman 4.
Would you like it? I pulled it up.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, all right.
So this is the other thing that you may want to take a look at. So this is the
Yeah.
best practices.
And because the Secretary of State's office had our election hours posted incorrectly for the primary, 4 people showed up at 7 o'clock to vote. So in answer to Mr. Sayers' inquiry, there is not a huge groundswell for that change. People who have to be to work at 7, obviously it doesn't work for them. If people have to be to work at 8, then they would have to wait until the end of the day to vote. And there is a provision for people to vote absentee if their work schedule does not permit them to be present during the times that the polls are open.
Yeah. So what you're saying is we're basically stuck with 8 to 7.
For this election, that is correct. And moving forward, if you want to make a change, you can do it through the legislative body collective, and then you get a sense of the public, or you can do it as long as state and federal,
Right.
the 60-day limit. Town elections is another story.
Perhaps some feedback from the town. To see, maybe we could look into changing the hours on
Sure.
future elections.
You could get a sense of the public with a non-binding warrant article, asking what people would prefer relative to voting hours. We do have a potential crowd problem coming in May for the town election because the school district did not have enough, and Mr. Spalding can speak to it perhaps, or did not plan enough professional development days so that the May town voting day, the school will be open. I am told. Now, that's something that we certainly can go back to the school administration and the superintendent to review, and/or we could move our day to a Saturday. So those are the options, but we should probably make some plans,
Sooner than
certainly
later.
after the turn of the year.
Yep.
We have 4 more events coming up after the November election. We have school deliberative session, school election, town deliberative session, town election.
Yep. Now, the other place here, where it talks about hours for polling, is page 80.
Yep, it's flagged.
Yeah, well, yep, you do have it, good,
And it's marked.
thank you. Isn't it? Yeah. I was wondering if, 882, we got right here. See, the question is, in the 1994 general election, did we have an article, you know,
1994?
yeah,
Who knows?
there's something that allows us to set the hours then.
Yeah, well, the laws change every year.
Yeah, so
So-
we're basically set, I guess, so.
But you can change the time for the town elections with a 14-day posting,
Okay.
not counting the day of the posting and not counting the day of the election. So 16 days clear, you can change the time.
We can, without going to town meeting,
Correct,
okay?
you
And
can.
is that what we did 2 years ago for the presidential election?
No, you would have done it clear 60 days.
Right. But I think we opened the polls at 7 AM back then.
You did.
We did.
You did open it at 7 AM.
Okay.
Unfortunately, no one thought to look at the flow of the number of people who came at 7 to see how much that inconvenience of all the election workers made a difference to the number of people who voted, because while you may come in and vote at 7 o'clock, we will have to go in at 5:30.
Yeah.
So I think you need to think about that.
Mhm.
It doesn't just, you gentlemen are there watching the polls, it just doesn't pop up and happen at 10 minutes of 7. So, if you are concerned that people have enough time, you could extend the polling hours, which wouldn't necessarily make people quite so unhappy, but,
November 3rd, 2020, we had 265 voters come through by 8 AM.
okay.
And let's see, and we were up to 617 by 9 AM that day.
So 400 after 8 and 200 before 8
Yeah,
must,
yeah,
yeah.
and it
Which
went on
was
from
a
there.
presidential year.
Yes. That
So-
was- It was 265 by 8 AM, so in that first hour, it was about, it was a good flow,
Right.
so.
And for presidential elections, maybe that's what you should do. Midterms are not quite as robust, but you've missed the midterm anyway, so. But as you move forward, you can always change the polling hours permanently.
Okay,
But I think Mr. Sayers' idea is a good one at the town meeting of this,
get a sense of the meeting.
get a sense of the meeting.
Okay.
Because I don't think you've had people calling you saying, open the polls earlier, have you?
A few.
Okay.
Here's an invitation for everybody to do that. Send an
Okay.
email.
All right,
Okay,
I wasn't sure about that 60-day, whether that counted the situation. Thank you for clarifying.
you are welcome.
All right.
Thank
Lee,
you
would
for
like the
moving it
polls
up.
back?
I appreciate it.
Sorry for
Thank you.
keeping you here all night.
Oh, it was most enlightening.
Yes, you miss it, don't you?
As it always is. I miss it like the bubonic plague.
All right.
Virginia,
Yes.
somebody said that it's turbulent Mars.
Yes,
And
it
so
is.
We certainly wouldn't want to make them
We won't want to make them comfortable.
All right. Took care of that. We've done B, A. Paul, you ready for us now?
I am ready for you in that the application's been withdrawn from this year.
It's all right, so we'll
Withdrawn?
pass.
Withdrawn. There's a pending sale,
Oh,
and the bank that owns it didn't want to tie up the new owners with something that they would be negotiating.
So pretty much for the coming tax year, they will be taxed at their full amount.
Full ad valorem taxes, yes.
Okay, and if the sale goes through, or even if it doesn't, it's upon the owner of the property to apply in a timely fashion to get a discretionary easement.
That's correct.
But without the discretionary easement, pretty much it means the future owner could decide, let's put up a bunch of, storage units there or something. But they could utilize the property for something other.
when they get flooded out?
Yeah, but that's their problem. But it
Boat storage.
they wouldn't be getting a tax benefit for keeping it open to act as
I
a
understand.
sponge.
Yep.
So,
Pretty sure the flooding's on a disclosure,
yeah,
the new buyer.
The
Buyer
flooding.
beware.
yeah. All right. Application for funding from State Water Trust, North Newport Well.
Yes, as you know, it's been our assessment that the town has a demonstrated weakness in its water supply system, and that it gets all of its water from the southern portion of the town, and all of its water transfers through very old, questionable condition mains. The cost or value of those mains to replace them is quite sizable. So we have a limited and questionable water supply being delivered by limited or certainly questionable means. So we have taken it upon ourselves to locate some new water sources that are remotely, geographically geographically diverse location through some studies done in mid 2014, 15-ish, 16. A number of options were identified, and a very viable water source, as the data suggests to date. I want to emphasize that because things can change. We have identified a viable water source on the northern backside of a knoll that is on town land that is just north of the airport. Some of you, it's a nondescript knoll, it's a hillside with some trees on it, but on the backside of that, which is, both of those structures are on town land, we've identified a very promising well source. Preliminary tests suggest that the water quality and volume are very good, and so we have been moving forward with design and engineering work to perfect that well, to extended drawdown testing, further quality testing, permitting, and so on and so forth. And we have also simultaneously been pursuing a funding, as I refer to it as a funding stack. To date, I'm using generalities or estimates here, I could get you the exact numbers if you'd like, but we presently have approximately $2 million that has been secured for the future development of that site. The estimate for the full build out of that well is about $3.5 million all in, engineering, permitting, and the actual construction of a pump house and the main necessary to connect it to the furthermost, northernmost Maine, which is in the vicinity of the airport. We've made a number of applications. We've been successful with approximately $2 million worth of those applications. We need $1.5 million for conversation's sake. Please don't hold me to the actual dollars and cents. But about $1.5 million presently shy of our target. And so one of the possible funders of this program is the DWGTF, the Drinking Water Groundwater Trust Fund. And they often want to see that we have made efforts to apply for other funds before they will consider us. They don't like to be first resort funders, they like to be kind of last resort funders. So we have documented our efforts to date and what we have been able to get and what we have been unable to get. And this is an application that they require for us to approach them for funding for a portion of or the balance of the outstanding $1.5 million or so. We may or may not get the whole $1.5 million from them. We don't know that at this point, but in order to submit the application, we need for the board to acknowledge the project, the purposes, and authorize me to sign on your behalf and to pursue this grant.
Any questions? Any questions in the audience? Anyone want to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion that we approve the request for funding from DWGTF and further authorize the town manager to execute any documents pertaining to. Did I miss something?
No, could I make a friendly request?
Sure.
That the board's motion be something to the effect that that you approve of the application submission for funding to assist with our North Newport well development to the I don't want to leave one out, DWGTF, and to authorize me to sign any and all related documents.
So moved.
It's pretty close.
Do a second?
Second?
And just for clarification, a lot of times the state or federal agencies are very picky about how these motions are awarded, or they kick them back. So any other discussion on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? All right, next up, we have our updated list of grants that we have received. This goes back a while. And on the, I guess the last page of the packet, you have the ones basically that need to be approved tonight, which I guess are items 52 through 90, totaling $12,111,909 of new grants that we've received since we last approved the list. Is that correct?
Yes, and I appreciate the opportunity, if you don't mind, to do a little clarification here.
Sure.
So you are correct. Basically, resources 1 through 51 have been previously reviewed and approved by the select board. I put them on here only for disclosure purposes and making sure that everybody is up to snuff. Mr. Burrows wasn't on the board at the time that most of those were done, and we thought he should know about the other grant and gift activities. The numbers that appear here are only those grants or gifts that we have reason to believe are secure. They either are in cash, we have them in our bank account, we have a written document, we have, for instance, the congressional record has indicated that we are going to receive whatever it is, $4.785 million. These are, I wouldn't go so far as to say they're bankable, but they are not rumors, they are not pledges, they are documented intents from reasonable authorities to grant these funds to us. There is probably, I'm going to, for the sake of this conversation, please don't hold me to the to the exact dollars. I can get them for you if you'd like. We have approximately $2 million more that have been pledged to us, some of which from very reasonable sources as well, but they haven't been committed. They could be withdrawn if the owner decided to do so. Not likely, but they could. These are all either cash in hand or donations that, like I said, have been checks have been cut, or attorneys have made representations or commitments, things that they're more than just an average, on the street kind of commitment. But again, there's I'm going to say there's somewhat slightly over $2 million more that has been pledged by otherwise good and reputable people, but are still have the ability to say, no, I've thought that over, I'm not going to do that. So we're somewhere around 24 million now, and we're still pressing forward. And I would, for those of you who have not done any, federal grant work, they are cumbersome, complicated, and time-consuming. And most of the time, when you're done with them, you swear you'll never do them again. But it's all in the best interest of the community. The way I look at it is it relieves the taxpayers of Newport $24 million worth of expenses that they would undoubtedly and largely have to face at some point, somewhere in the not-too-distant future. It's basically 2.5 years worth of budgets. And we'll continue to report out as the winter drags on. We'll probably give you another update in another 6 months and get your approval or consideration of any new ones that come by.
One thing that would not show up on this list, say, us taking part in the FAA NIPIAS program for the airport.
That's correct, but it's not.
Which,
It's another $2
by
million.
going along with their assurances, it gets us into 2 grant programs that provide probably about $300,000 a year over the next 5 years. That is something separate that would show up here?
No, that will show up once we get some further documentation of that.
Okay.
And a commitment from the state. So there's about $2 million pending there. There's about $2 million pending, a little over on the community center. There's, for instance, $37,000 pending on an Ames grant for the fuel delivery system at the airport.
Yeah.
So, but they're they could have materialized, they couldn't materialize. So I did kind of make the decision that they're like 50-50. I'm not going to put them on the list. I can change that if you'd like, but these are 95-100% done.
Right,
kind of
but
things.
the NIPIAS program with the FAA, that's basically, I thought, a guarantee that we're in that.
Well, it is, but I'm not sure when we're going to get it. I'm not sure what the actual numbers are going to be, because they're going to have to hire the engineer first. The engineer will determine the scope of the work. Then the scope of the work, depending on when it gets done, if it's done 3 years from now, the number, who knows what the number will be.
Yeah.
So I felt uncomfortable telling you it was going to be
Right.
this or that for this or that purpose.
Right. Just for clarification, the cost of that engineer determining what work gets done gets covered through the.
95%,
grants too.
yes, 95% reimbursable.
Barry?
Just out of curiosity, kind of jumped out at me, and I know you said we voted on all of these, and I know we did, but who is our intelligence liaison officer?
That is a grant that's given to us by the state to basically assign a member of our staff to work with the state on the development of various crime-related intelligence information. I think it's the connection between the state.
All right, now I remember, okay, thank you.
It was sort of kind of an honor, if I remember, because I chose Newport on the western side of the state
Good.
in order to.
Good,
you know,
okay,
provide the office.
excellent.
So,
Want to make a motion on accepting these grants?
I'll move that we accept the list of grant opportunities presented.
Is there a second?
I'd second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? All right. Anything else to come before us tonight?
motion adjourned to
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? No one's ever opposed.
I thought we were just waiting for Herb to make that another motion. You're the man tonight.
Do I have
Not
like
making any.
a, do I have like a hat or something that says I make all motions?
There's nothing under non. Thank you.
Snickers bar, anyone?